As Nigeria celebrates the 2024 Democracy Day, marking 25 years of the country's democratic journey, President Bola Tinubu has inspired hope and the sense of patriotism. In his nationwide broadcast to mark the 31st anniversary of June 12, a defining moment in Nigeria's political landscape, President Tinubu paid glowing tribute to pro-democracy activists and heroes who safeguard the country's democracy. The president noted that negotiations with Organised Labour over a new national minimum wage have been concluded, and the recommendation will soon be sent to the National Assembly for approval. Let's hear from the president.
We lost great heroes and heroines along the way. And this struggle, the winner of June 12, 1993 presidential election, Chief MKO Abiola, the most significant symbol of our democratic struggle, his wife, Kudirat, General Shehu Musa Yar'Adua, and Pa Alfred Iwani, amongst others, sacrificed their very lives. They bravely surrendered their fortunes so that our nation might have a better one. Let us honor the memories of Chief Anthony Enahoro, Chief Abraham Adesanya, Commodore Dan Sulaiman, Chief Athon Wanko, Chief Chukwuemeka Ezeibe, Admiral Ndubuisi Kanu, Chief Frank Kokori, Chief Bola Ige, Chief Adekunle Ajasin, Chief Gani Udaudu, Chief Ayo Fasanmi, Chief Gani Fawemi, Chief Olabi Idrojaye, Dr. Beko Ransom Kuti, Chima Ubani, and others who have transited to higher realm. The sacrifices of General Alani Akinriyade, Professor Bolaji Akinyemi, Professor Wole Soyinka, Chief Rab Obioha, Chief Colonius Adebayo, among many others, should never be forgotten. We have negotiated in good faith and with open arms with Organised Labour on a new national minimum wage. We shall soon send our executive bill to the National Assembly to enshrine what has been agreed upon as part of our law for the next 5 years or less.
President Bola Tinubu's Democracy Day speech there, congratulating Nigerians on a quarter of a century democratic rule, and of course also paying tribute to those who have given their role for the cause, and equally, talking about the fact that he would work to preserve democracy as a way of life of Nigerians. Let's begin with you, Chris. What's your take about the president's speech? What stands out or what stood out for you?
Nice speech. Obviously expected. The most important aspect of it, apart from the naming of some of the people that were part of the June 12th struggle, was the statement made by the president that I feel your pains. That stands out. That shows some level of humane part of the president. And he has been saying that most of the time. But talking about June 12th itself, if Chief Abiola were alive and sees what is going on today, will he be happy? That's the question we should ask ourselves. 25 years, and we still find ourselves where we are. Have our leaders been able to deliver on some of those key areas, issues that were highlighted by MKO during Hope 93 campaign? Because they are fundamental. It's even more fundamental because the current slogan of the current government was Hope Renewal.
Renewed hope.
Renew hope, yes, renew hope. And I've said it time and time again. The issue is that most of the beneficiaries of June 12, those that are beneficial, our current leaders, 99% of them were not part of the struggle. And that is why we find ourselves Just apart from the president, who was really estranged, which of the governors can you name, apart from Ubasani, that is currently in Kaduna State? I don't know. I stand to be corrected, or maybe you tell me. I don't know of any other that was part of the struggle. Though in the Senate presently, how many of them were part of the struggle? In the House of Representatives, how many were part of it? In the various state houses of assembly, how many? You will see that it's just like the biblical saying that Jesus came to die for us to live. So what happens is that some people pay with their lives and make sure that what we have, the current democracy that we have. But most of the beneficiaries don't even understand. And they are not living up to expectation. But going further, the president mentioned some names, so many names. But I want to just be specific about one or two people that I felt that. I remember, especially in our profession, the president mentioned the news tempo. Yes, fundamental, very, very, I don't know whether you read, I don't know, Dr. We know what I'm talking about. When you talk of tempo and razor and the news, those editors of those papers practically paid with their life. And I have to commend someone like the president, one of the spokespersons to the president, Mr. Bayo Onanuga. He was really enshrined in this. Another person was also Babafemi Ojodu, former senator. He was also part of this. Then our own Dele Momodu, Bob D. I remember I was in my office at the Artists and Promotion of Sony Music in those days. And there was this, Bob D just walked into the office, went up to see my managing director, Chief Kejo Kunowo. And he was so much in a hurry. And he dashed out. And I was wondering, why was it Bob D ordinarily would have said, where is Chris? My aburo me, you know, that kind of a thing. He dashed out. I didn't know that Bob D was on the radar of DSS and he was to be picked up that very day. So apparently, I don't know what to transpire. Probably there was something that was giving him or tried to assist him. It was the next morning that I heard that Bob D was already in Cotonou. And from that part, he went to London. So you will see that a lot of people, and also one person again, I would have loved to find his name there, was Humphrey Nwosu. That man, in as much as he was not allowed to deliver on it, but you will see the trajectory that if that election was upheld, it would have been one of the freest and best elections we ever had in this country. So I commend the president for being able to recognize some of the people and mention names, but I hope that the works of our heroes shall not be in vain, which is why the president, when we are talking about the president's delivery, we know his pedigree. We know what he has done. We know where he's coming from. As far as this issue is concerned, apart from being a senator, governor, and the rest of it, this was somebody that would have lost his... If you listen to Chief Segun Oshoba this morning, when he was talking to Ayo at this thing. Yes, and he mentioned something. He said himself and the president were arrested and were being tried. If it was Justice Begoro that finally gave them, that granted them bail. So this is somebody that knows so much, and I hope that is why expectation from the president is so high. I don't talk about the other ones because, as I said, they are not part of the struggle, so they are just there to enjoy themselves.
Well, let's hear from Dr. And you know, a line from the national anthem, which has now become old, talks about the labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain.
Well, I believe with what we have now, we're on the path to rediscovering ourselves individually and then as a nation. And why do I say so? There were certain things we spoke about years back when the alarm bells went off and we started talking or speaking about living a fake life or living on what the nation is actually not generating in terms of income, which largely has gotten us to where we are. That, for me, has been the major issue why it appeared at some point the labor of our heroes past were going to go down the drain. But I see hope, renewed hope at this time. this speech, for me, it's very good. It inspires hope. It tells us that there is a reason to live and perhaps to stay in the country. It also tells us of the hard parts of staying in democratic governance, having democracy in place. And one of the areas where the president addressed this was the near face-off between the government and Labour. Yes. I was happy the way it was handled, because for me, at some point, I felt the government should have cracked down on Labour, especially when they had the temerity, the audacity to shut down the national grid. Because for me, that was economic sabotage. And it's written all over our laws. You can't sabotage the country in that manner and be walking the streets freely. No one would have dared to do that kind of thing under a military rule. Dictatorship, even added to it, not just military rule. Dictatorship. It's something that is good for us, because now we are getting to a point where we're able to say, okay, at the end of the day, the government has made Labour to look silly and stupid. And then they are now back to the table to judge, which they didn't feel they wanted to do at some point. But let me add to that, beyond the fine points, as maybe what I spotted in the speech that I want us to address. The president said he's going to be sending a bill to the National Assembly on the new minimum wage, that there is already an agreement. I have not seen that agreement. I'm not sure Labour has seen that agreement. Otherwise, we won't be at a state where we are still talking of Labour threatening to go on strike, because they are not going to accept 62,000. They are only going to accept 250,000.
Could the president be speaking from a point of view of whatever the tripartite committee had presented to the SGF?
It's possible.
That they are waiting for Organized Labour to arrive, from the ILO conference.
Yes.
And then make a formal presentation.
Yes. That's why I'm saying that we should. That bill should not go out until then, so that, like some bills that had to go back and forth, the president would have signed, you take it back. The president would have signed, you take it back. We shouldn't allow that to happen now, so that we don't waste too much time. Because for me, some of these things, they are distractions. Once you can't finish up a negotiation on time, you are distracted from the work you are supposed to do. The SGF, who was part of that meeting, has a job to do. It's not just solely about negotiating with workers. The Minister of Labour, the job goes beyond negotiation. So many others are involved. So we should ensure that we get this right and on time too.
So get it right and on time.
The second point is this. The president feels our pain. But we who are really feeling the pain, we know what it means indeed. Things are not getting easier outside here. They are getting tougher. Yesterday I went to the school of one of my children and I had to speak with the principal. And she said they called one of their suppliers because they are preparing for resumption and asked, one close by, and asked for the cost of a bag of rice. Because the person had old stock, said 205,000 naira. Then they felt, okay.
205?
Yes, if we call the bigger markets, we should be able to get it cheaper. And then they called the burial market where they had the new stock, and they said it was 240,000. The derica of beans now goes for 1,700, 1,800 naira. The president can't feel our pains like we are feeling it here. It is almost impossible. So, wider point, the president should see to it that our cost of living should go down drastically. It's becoming too high. Sometimes I wonder how we survive day to day. Because it's just, almost getting completely out of hand. How people survive with the kind of price. About 2 weeks ago, a portion of Irish potatoes was about the measure, 2,000 naira. This morning, it was between 4,500 and 5,000 naira. So something drastic must be done in order to enable Nigerians to remain sane. Very drastic.
Something drastic and, very important, because in that speech, the president did mention that beyond seeing, we shouldn't just see democracy as elections as being the crux of democracy. Yeah. It's only a minute part of it. Mm-hmm. And that beyond political democracy, there is also economic democracy. Yeah. Yeah. And, he's hopeful really that the pains that Nigerians are going through at the moment, which I think he assumes is necessary because they had to take some policies that didn't seem to go down well with people, but were necessary.
Let me start from where Dr. stopped. We were talking about the issue of labor. We always have issue of labor with us, whether we like it or not. Labor is a pressure group. Even in United States, United Kingdom, Europe, and all parts of the world, till today, laborers are still having issue with government. Either the nurses, the doctors, the railway workers, taxi drivers, health workers, it is the same across the globe. And why does it happen? Because they speak mostly for the workers. All of us cannot go to the president and tell him that this is what we want. So that is why we have elected certain individuals to represent us. Whether they are doing it right or wrong. So we shouldn't so much blame labor. Because if the government has also had an listening ears, then labor, I don't think would have been where we are. Let us even look at the issues as it were. Since the removal of petroleum subsidy last year, what level of incentives have the government given the citizens? We talk of the vehicles, we talk of giving out money to certain individuals. It has not helped at all. People are still suffering, just as he said. I'm even surprised that Dr. has been going to the market for him to know the cost of tomatoes. And
you are right, so you can afford not to go and send the third party.
But it's apt because about five edition of okra, it's about 200 naira now.
Is it even up to 5?
That's what I'm saying. If you see Atarodo, little Atarodo, in fact, I don't know how you people are cooking. When we give you,
one is maybe 200.
You are saying that. And a bag of rice is more than 80,000 naira. Minimum wage is 60,000 naira. When you give a man 60,000 naira, how would
But Chris, the fine point for me is there was no point in shutting down the grid.
Yeah, that's all. No.
Outside of negotiation, that's the fine point.
That is given. That is as far as I'm concerned.
I disagree with that completely.
Yes, that is given. But the fact is that let us not throw away the baby with the bathwater. But talking about economic democracy, of course, that is the essence. Because if you have a government and you are not feeling the impact of it, no matter how rosy the government, why is it that the Labour and Conservative is most likely that Labour is going to win in United Kingdom in the next election? You saw the Prime Minister came out with this thing. Because most British people are feeling the pains, and that's why they want to vote them out. There have been studies that some countries where ordinary price of bread has led to the downfall of governments. Nigerians are very, very cautious and very, very nice people. I'm telling you the fact. Because some of the things that we take from our leaders here, so that will happen in other countries. I'm telling you, it won't. That is why I'm saying that our leaders must not take the citizens for a ride. They're in power now.
But what's the ideal thing to be done? I know that yesterday on the show, some of the panelists were talking about the fact that it's not just about wage increase. It's important also about infrastructure, having some basic things in place.
That is why I was talking. That's why I was talking. Those are what saying that I said there are certain incentives that are supposed to be given by the government. It's not just about, because even they give it to
that is even not incentive. It's infrastructure. It's infrastructure.
Yes, because
it's a must.
It's given. If let us even say they give you 250,000 naira when you are on band A or band whatever. You know how much electricity is
about 100,000 in a month.
And then we act in the country such that once traders hear about an increase in pay,
there is nothing that goes up in Nigeria that comes down. I don't know of any. Except probably the plane that we enter that flies up and comes. I don't know of any.
But you see, in this case, like I said when I made my first intervention, there are certain things we must realize don't happen as a matter of miracles. It's a process. The CNG that we are trying to do, for instance, is not something that will happen in one day. These are things we ought to have paid attention to 20, 30 years ago.
But thankfully...
Yes, that's what we're saying. But you cannot expect it to be done in 1 year. It's not possible. It's just like you saying you want to build a rail track. Yes, there are advanced technologies now that can do it faster, which we can't do because we don't even have the capacity. Our Jakarta still is not functional. When you see other countries the way we can't afford to bring in all of these technologies now, except we are going to crash the whole country. It's something that will take time. We want to do CNG, we want to do railway. These are mass transits. We want to do waterways, mass transits.
Yeah, but this we should be talking about in over 60 years.
Exactly. So you cannot.
Countries are moving on. Technologically.
When did we get it wrong? At what point did we get it wrong?
It's leadership. It is leadership.
The interruptions in the
democratic rules. If we have had leadership, let me tell you. There's nothing wrong. That's why when I see some people say, "Oh, let us go back to the regional. We are going to create 6."
All of those things are
our problem is not the system we practice. It's the people that are practicing the system. It's the people that we elect. The presidential system of government we're practicing is not from US. We borrowed it from. Bring whoever there to come here and go to. If we have the same kind of system, it will not work. The fact is that the kind of people, and that's why I've always asked the question: the problem of Nigeria, is it that of leadership or that of followership? Until we answer that question, we will not be able to get there. Is it that of leadership?
I've always answered that question.
Yes.
Both leadership and
followership. Because the kind of demand we make on our leaders, they are terrible. When a senator goes to Abuja and comes back home, before he arrives, his constituents, they already know he's coming. They are singing and dancing, waiting for him. He must drop something. That money must come from somewhere. Until we stop.
If he has empowered,
no matter how much empowerment.
Empowerment is ambiguous because
but
then we need to take a break. When we come back, we'll continue. Please stay with us and journalists hang out.
Hi, this is Dr. Abiola Salami, the world-class performance strategist and member, Forbes Coaching Council. I am extending an exclusive invitation to all senior leaders in public and private sector organizations across the globe to join me and Harvard University's Professor Dana Bourne, President Joe Biden's Commissioner Ray Jefferson, the seasoned board chair Dr. Musu Bello Olusoga at Dr. Abiola Salami International Leadership Bootcamp 2.0, holding from 23rd to 29th June 2024 in Mombasa, Kenya. The bootcamp is designed not only to build leadership skills, but also to promote overall well-being through structured relaxation practices with energizing wellness routines and group social events to foster camaraderie and relaxation in the serenity of Mombasa. We had a great time at the last edition in Nairobi with leaders gaining insights for reshaping their organizations, and we will have a greater time in Mombasa co-creating an amazing leadership experience together. In case you can't attend the Mombasa edition this June, you can join us at Marrakesh, Morocco for the 3rd edition in October 2024. For more information, visit www.abiolachamp.com. Till I see you at the bootcamp, keep rocking your world like a champion.
It's the midweek edition of Journalists Hangout, and we are having a review of the President's Democracy Day broadcast, which aired earlier in the day. So before the break, gentlemen, we were talking about what the problem really is. Right. Is it about followership or about leadership?
Yes. You think it's
yeah.
No, I said both, and we really, really need to watch it. As a leader, it is not about the number of people you're able to give 1,000 naira or 2,000 naira per visit home. Or when they say somebody has given birth, you go there, you give the person. What we need is a structure that can enable empowerment for everybody across board. And what do we need to do? Number one, we need to cut down on the cost of living in the country. Food should be readily available. How do we do that? We need to go and create opportunities for people. I've mentioned it here before. When you go around some parts of the Southwest, you see farmers in clusters, some surviving alone. Are we getting the fund that will vote for agriculture to the people who need it the most? Will government be able to do the right things to ensure that farmers who produce get things right at that level, and not political farmers who collect money in billions? And at the end of the day, you don't see anything.
Now, this point you raised brings to my mind what the Southwest governors are doing. They met in Lagos on Monday, and they
about the food.
About food.
Yes, I'm particularly happy about that because they mentioned it. Because, for instance, now in your state,
yes,
they have a few things that you can be proud of. The state has gone into a private investment around where they call Fashola farms. They call it Fashola farms, but the whole area is known as Fashola. And you need to go there and see what they are doing. Hectares of farmland, but we need to replicate. At some point, the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture was helping us. Banditry, armed conflict, scattered everything we were doing because IIT was bringing in better yielding seeds that we could make use of. We scuttled all of that. We also need to ensure that these things that the farmers are producing get to us through a very cheap means. I said it the last time I came here, we've had trains traveling from Lagos down north with cargoes that will bear petrol, that will bear, and then coming from the north with food items.
Food items, yes.
Now we don't have that because it's all gone. Well, that's where I also say that leadership matters. Because instead of our leaders from, the past, to have done what is right by developing this mass transportation means, we left it. We concentrated on the road. Because like some people will say, that brings more money. The more contract you award, the more money you make.
Okay, Chris is ancient to make an intervention.
Our problem, one, cost of governance is very, very high. Corruption is the second one. Waste on the part of our leaders is another one. That's the third one. Then when you talk of, we're talking of even distribution of the little that we have. It's not that we're not making money. We know how much as much as we're not meeting our open quota, but we know how much we're exporting in terms of our crude. There's so much money to be made from agriculture. There's so much money to be made from IT. There's so much money to be made. The fact is that we don't have vision. We have visionless leaders who can't just see beyond their nose. What they do, especially at the state level, what they do every end of the month, they go to send their commissioner of finance to go and collect money, and they collect it, share it among themselves, or even change it into $1.
Don't you think that's now being addressed?
It is not being addressed. That is why they tell you that they can't pay 60,000 naira, despite the fact that they're having over 3 times or 4 times what they are getting from Abuja on a monthly basis, right from when this thing was removed. So we need to be able to look at it. I personally feel that leadership is our problem, because across the globe, it is the leadership that drives the system.
Well, have you considered the point raised by some economists about the likelihood of inflation rising if the wage increase is
no, let me tell you. Let me tell you. Even in the United States, as it were, recently, some months back, even the government raised it. It used to be about $12 per hour. They go by hour. It's not like our own here.
How much did they move to? How much did they move to?
They moved it about 14 or 15.
Okay. You are talking of, hold on. So you are talking of a movement of $2.
Yeah.
Now, the point here is this. The workers that you are talking about, they cut across board. It's not just government workers.
That is what I'm...
Don't lose that point. Don't lose that vital point.
Yes, okay.
What Labour is agitating for now, I can assure you, will not be implementable by the private sector.
No.
So let's
250 for me when they started.
Let's leave anybody.
I personally believe that 100,000. Wait, to relax.
Okay.
Let me hear you. I personally feel that 100,000 naira is a fair. But whether these same people, I continue talking about leadership. These same selfish governors that said that some of them have not been paid 30,000 naira.
Have they paid 18,000?
Some have not been paying them. It's not that they don't have the capacity to pay. It's selfishness on their part. Because if you remove the so-called, when you talk of security vote, you know how much these guys are getting for security? What are they securing? You're talking of security vote. That is something that's not accounted.
I agree with you on security vote.
That is what I'm telling you.
I agree with you on security vote.
That is why we're talking about waste. That's why we're talking about waste. If we cut down on waste, for goodness sake, we'll be able to achieve a lot.
I agree with you on security votes, but there is something you should also pay attention to.
Which is?
Anytime the fact is released, please check. When you check, look out for Borno State. Look out for my state, Osun, and see some of these states at the bottom, how much they are earning.
But you see the performance.
Wait, sir. How much is Borno State paying us? Go and check. They are not paying it.
Can we get states to look at the resources?
They are not.
Exactly. And use those resources.
Yes. Do you know that they have systematically stopped this thing from publishing the amount each state gets every month?
No, but you can get it. You can get it. It's available. It's available.
Most often,
it's available.
To realize that some of these states are governors, because we continue to look at the center. It is not the center.
We need to talk about the states, talk about the local
government.
We know that the Attorney General
is very
particular
how many
about
percentage
autonomy
does the
for
government
the local government
employ?
areas.
In terms of
exactly the point. Now you are talking. So that's why I am emphasizing that what we should be looking at is general development of all citizens, not just on the workers,
across the country,
not just on the workers who are receiving pay from the government, farmers, traders,
including journalists.
Exactly.
Why don't you include us?
Well, of course, we are here.
Why don't?
Let's move on, please. Okay, recent action by some